Hi, I'm Jeannie. Welcome to Mimi Craft, your home for all things creative and DIY on a budget. I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Today we'll be making some high-end looking sconces using Dollar Tree's tumbling tower blocks. We are going to glue together 3 rows of 21. You want to use a square to keep things as straight as you possibly can. I glued them into 3 rows. If I were to do it over again, I think they would fit together much more nicely if I did 3 across and then went up 21. But anyway, I used wood glue for a really strong hold. Now we're going to glue this all together. You want to use plenty of glue, but you also want to clean up anything that's leaking out. You want to spread it real nice and evenly. Wood glue is actually stronger than the wood fibers itself, so if you play your cards right, put it on right, it's going to hold really, really tight for you. I used clamps while it was drying. This was really helpful. This is the back of the sconce. Next we'll be using a chopping mat. It comes from a 2-pack that I purchased at Dollar Tree. On the long side of the mat, you want to take something sharp, like this tool that I got from Dollar Tree, a needle, maybe scissors, and score the long side of the mat at 1 inch. Line your wood backing on that score line and make another line. It's going to be about 3/8 of an inch. You'll see in a second here. And you want to bend the plastic back, vinyl, whatever this stuff is, on both of those lines. This is going to give you a channel to glue the back of the light on. And do the exact same thing to the other side. Next we'll be making a template for the chopping mat for the placement of the blocks. I had to tape together a couple pieces of computer paper. It needs to be the exact same size as the chopping mat. I found the center of the mat, drew down a line. Now off camera, I put a tumbling tower block right centered on that line so that I could measure the width of one of the long sides of the blocks, the skinny part. I continued making lines this width to both the right and left of that center column, filled up the whole page. I put slashes through every other column because we're going to be placing blocks on every other column. This will just help me to keep track of where I'm at. Place your chopping mat directly over the template and tape it down to your work surface. Begin by gluing the block in the center column at the very top and the very bottom of your template. The blocks are going to be glued down 1/2 inch apart, so I do suggest you make yourself a little spacer. I made one out of foam board. You could use cardboard or something similar. Now there is a reason why I'm using hot glue. I tried a more permanent fix-all and I tried E6000 and they just didn't hold the wood to the plastic the way the hot glue did. So that's what I'm going to recommend for you too. Now when you space your second row, you're going to be placing each block halfway between where the other blocks are. Just watch, it's easier to see than to explain. And once you get these first rows done, the rest will go real quickly for you. You just keep following this pattern all the way up to those score lines that you made at the beginning. Look how fast I'm getting at this. And when you're all done and you've removed the template, this is what you end up with. This is just one suggestion. Here's a couple other suggestions for a pattern for the light. This pattern has 2 diagonal rows removed. This pattern is a diamond where the very center row is 5, then it goes down to 4, 3, 2, 1 as you go up and down. What I'm doing here is I'm using a dry paintbrush to remove all the little glue strings from the hot glue. Tumbling tower blocks are not real consistent in their size, so I decided to sand everything down to make it a little bit more uniform. You don't need to, depends on if it bugs you or not. This is how we'll glue the front to the back. Take the back, and you're going to put that skinny side in the channel we created earlier. Make sure it's centered from top to bottom, and take your hot glue and put it down. You're going to have to work pretty quickly. That's the downside of hot glue. If you don't get it down right away, it won't stick. Flip your project over and glue down that leftover flap to the back. And do the exact same to the other side. For the lighting, we'll be using these LED puck lights. They are push lights that you can find at Dollar Tree. They are self-adhesive. You can put them anywhere you'd like on the inside back of the sconce. To hang the sconce, I took a block and added a sawtooth hanger to the back of it. I then glued this wood block to the back of the sconce. I glued another block close to the bottom so that the sconce would hang evenly on the wall. Before I show you the final look, I'd like you to take a minute to hit that like button, share this video with any of your friends that you think would enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers, and we're already more than halfway there. And here it is. I am so happy with the result. The entire project cost about $8, and I can't imagine you could find something like this at the store for $8. Easy to make and very beautiful. And this is what the other 2 patterns look like. Please let me know in the comments section which of these sconces is your favorite, from left to right, 1, 2, or 3. I want to put a match set in the master bedroom of my home, and I need your opinion. This next project is going to be a herringbone pattern, tray, or riser. For the size that I'm making in this video, you'll need 3 boxes of the tumbling tower blocks. What I'm doing right here is just setting up my pattern. The entire project will be 12 columns of 14 blocks. And this is best demonstrated rather than me telling you how to do it. Just watch the video and you'll see the pattern. I'm going to dry fit the whole thing before I glue them together. I'll be using Super Glue's brand of wood glue from the Dollar Tree. I discovered this hack when I ended up with a bunch of wide open spaces because of the irregularity of these blocks. So what I did is I took pieces of popsicle stick, which are made of the same wood, which is pine, and cut them to size to fill in the spaces. They're easy to cut even with scissors or with a utility knife. And here I am filling in one of those really big spaces. In fact, that spot fits so well, I actually had to hammer it in. After filling in the space, I sanded it, and the repair was almost impossible to find. Next, I cut a whole bunch of little sliver-sized pieces for other areas that seem to have a lot of gapping, and then just place those. By the way, I used wood glue everywhere that I put these. This was game-changing for the look of this piece. Next, I took an electric sander, and what I found that as I sanded, all of that sawdust was falling into the remaining crevices and cracks. So I just continued pressing it into the spaces until you almost couldn't see them at all. Now I could have used wood filler, but I didn't have any wood filler that matched. You can make wood filler with sawdust and wood glue, so I was just taking the sawdust that I was creating with the sanding and putting it down into the spaces. So now to keep that sawdust in, I used some Mod Podge and I used matte to seal all of that in. And that really made this project go from looking like I made it out of Dollar Tree products to looking like I made it in a wood shop. For comparison, this is the back side and this is the front side. If you're happy with your project, you can leave it as is, but I decided to turn it into something just a little more. Using a straight edge, I drew a rectangle on the project. I then used a square to make sure everything was exactly right. Another way to do this would be to create a template with a piece of cardboard and then just trace around it. I placed a piece of masking tape over my cutting line to keep the wood from splintering. I secured my project with clamps and then used a jigsaw to cut it out. This is not a tutorial on how to use a jigsaw or any other kind of saw, so make sure you know what you're doing before you use any kind of equipment like this. The vibration from the saw caused this to happen, but no worries, just use some wood glue, waited for it to dry, and then went ahead and finished cutting. After cutting, I sanded the sides with my electric sander. I think if I had used a circular saw, I would have had less irregularity, but it is winter and very cold outside, and I wanted to be able to use my jigsaw inside. So I just sanded this till it was nice and smooth and even. Now I'm going to put on some feet to make this into a riser. I used 4 blocks on each corner and used some wood glue to glue them down. This is obviously the back side of the piece. Over, put something with a little bit of weight on it, and waited for it to dry. And here's the finished piece. This is how it looks against the backsplash in my kitchen. And this is it styled on my dining room table. I think this would make a really good charcuterie board, but I didn't have any charcuterie in my fridge. Thank you so much again for watching. Please don't forget to comment on which of the sconces you think I should use in my home and what you think about the charcuterie board. Would you use it that way? Would you use it as a riser? Would you use it as a tray? Something completely different? Let me know. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!